All right, we have Coach Hamilton, assistant football coach at Parkersburg South High School. Coach, thanks for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Um, you just got done with the clinic, so I know you're ready to go. You did a lot of talking, just did your own little clinic thing, ready to go. It'll be on Chief Pigskin whenever Coach Allball gets it set up. Um, so Coach, we were talking. God, you're a young buck. You were saying you played from 2019 to 20 whatever.
Yes, sir.
Uh, oh my gosh, I'm old. Uh, I was born in 1990, so I'm pretty old compared to you. But being young, what made you want to coach? Because I'm gonna tell you right now, it's hard to find coaches. Like
Yeah.
2 years ago, we had three stipends, and it took us like almost a full from November to August to fill them. So like, what made you want to do it?
So I kind of started out my junior year. I, I, I got real into football. I loved it and had an all right year. I had some pretty good relationships with the different coaches. And my senior year, our head coach became my DB coach, and we just talked a lot of football. We'd be in there in the weight room just after lifting, me, him, and a couple other coaches, like some other people, just talking football. And the more and more we just talked about it, and I kind of grew to understand what we did, like on defense, especially like conceptually, and got real good at what we did, and just enjoyed football. And I was like, this is something I want to do for the rest
Mhm.
of my life, and this was the way I could do it. I'm like 5'10". I was like 175 pounds my senior year. Like I'm not playing much past like Division 2, if that. So like coaching was the way to go.
Right. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
yeah, keep going.
Sorry, I told our head coach about my interest in
Mhm.
coaching. He, it came down after my senior year. Like I didn't know if I wanted to stay home and go to school, which is more affordable, or go play college football. And at that time, I decided I'm going to try to go play Division 2 football, but
Mhm.
as a long snapper because I was a long
Nice.
snapper as well. So went there, tried that. I lifted with our football team in the summer, and I asked the coach, like joking around, I was like, "Hey, Coach Tanner, like this summer, if can I lift with y'all? And while I'm lifting with y'all, can I coach the O line? Like, because I don't know anything about the O line. I played receiver, so I was like, this will be a great way to learn." So I pretty much just sat back all summer and watched them coach O line. And I coached the safeties, and football wasn't for me anymore. Like long snapping, that life wasn't for me. I wasn't getting where I wanted to be because I knew I wanted to be a coach and a teacher, and being a backup long snapper wasn't helping me get there. So that's kind of how it turned into me coaching full time now.
Yeah, a funny thing compared to you, I was getting like Division 2 looks, Division 3 looks. If it was going to be FCS, I was going to have to walk on. So I walk on. I walk in the building. I'm 6'5", 275 pounds. I'm like, I want to be a lineman. I walk in. They said, buddy, you're too small. And I said, too small? They're like, yeah, we've got 6'7", 310-pound kids. And I was like, well, I'm like one of the biggest kids on my team, like if not the biggest. And they're like, nope, not going to work. You have to be a tight end. And I'm like, and tried it. And I'm like, oh, I hate running. I hate everything about it. So, um, kind of the same thing you did. That summer before walking on, because the rules were way different back then. It was like you couldn't walk on until like the season started,
Hmm.
which was super weird. So I was coaching in the summer, and then we were driving back and forth from college back home to do it. Did that, was like, yeah, the same for me, and just kept coaching while going to school. Drove 40 minutes there, 40 minutes back just to practice and all that shit.
Hmm.
And that was a long time ago, man. I was 18, 19 years old, just like you, and now I'm gonna be
Yeah.
34. So I've been doing it. I'm going into year 15. And but it's awesome that you were a long snapper. I tell kids if you want to go play college, be a long snapper.
That's
And
the way to do it.
any special teams really. But if I have a son and they play football, I'm going to say, hey, you got to be a long snapper,
Hmm.
because long snapper or field goal snapper. because if you become good at it, you might find your way to a roster and maybe earn yourself a scholarship, even if you walk on. But it's also the hardest because they only need one.
Yeah.
They don't need five.
Now, when I got there, there's three of us, so it was pretty hard. Three of us, two of us were freshmen, one was a sophomore, and it was something else.
Now, was it awkward for you coaching at your high school, coaching kids you probably played with or were around? Like, was that a little awkward?
Yeah, it was really weird. There, it was weird because like when you go off, like I mentioned, like we were a state finalist team, and you're real close. We had like several kids who were sophomores and juniors playing, so showing up, it's just like to them, I'm your buddy, but when
Mhm.
we're here, it can't really be like that. So it was pretty weird. Some of them had that like mutual respect for me, so they saw what happened when we played, so
Mhm.
listen to me. But being with the JV helps out a lot because all those dudes, like most of them don't, not most of them, but a lot of them don't know that I played there a couple years ago.
Right.
They know me as being their coach.
Right. That happened to me, like coaching kids that, because uh, I was at a small high school. Our school had when I was there was 325 kids, and that was like the most they ever had. And so my little village had like 500 people. Then the town that fed into the high school more was like 1,600 people. And so we all grew up together. So then when I was coaching them and they were becoming seniors or juniors, and now I'm yelling at them and I'm telling them this, they're turning around telling me to F off and all this stuff. And then the head coach is like, you can't say that to him. He's a coach. And I'm like, oh, and it's very awkward. And
Yeah.
so there's a positive going back to your high school to do it so quickly, but then there's also that struggle of, well, these kids you played with, now you're telling them how they are messing up, and they'll try and say, well, you did this and you've messed up and blah 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 blah. So I think there is that little learning curve when young coaches like yourself decide to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something else. Like you kind of learn like which kids you can will listen to you and which ones won't. And I mean, there's other coaches in my position group. So like the ones that listen to you, you can coach them, and then the other ones, it's just like, all right, let them handle certain things. But with the JV dudes, it's real nice because if the one if they were there when I was there, they saw me. I was a senior when they were like a freshman or a
Right,
sophomore. So it
right.
was like that respect when you kind of like look up to somebody, I guess. But like a lot of the freshmen, they have no clue. They asked me if I play football, or we were doing punt drill the other day and I snapped them a football and they're like, "Were you a long snapper?" I was like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just."
I just tried it.
Yeah,
First
yeah.
time.
They don't even know you played football
So,
recently.
so did you have to go through the COVID thing as a player, or were you gone?
Yeah, I went through it.
Oh, you're a COVID kid. All right,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah, my freshman year was like the end of the year got like the end of the school year got canceled, but
Yeah,
my
yeah.
sophomore year was where we barely played any game. Like we did not we had like a lot of the rules, and we had to wear these like masks on our helmet or gaiters. It was
Yep.
crazy. We
Yep.
had we were supposed to play somebody, and Friday night, a couple hours before the game got canceled, and they rescheduled us a different team to play like 2 hours before the game.
So no film watching, no nothing.
They spent about an hour watching film before the game, and that was about it. We strapped up and played.
Oh, trust me, as a player, I know it was frustrating, but as a coach, it was the most frustrating thing of all time.
I can
Because
imagine.
I don't know what it happened over there, but over here in Illinois, man, it got pushed to the spring. I coached football, basketball, track, and it got condensed within 5 months. I did all three sports in 5 months. And then the way politics works is right when the summer hit, they said, hey, go back to normal. And so we had our basketball camp rolling, our football camp rolling. Then we play again in the fall. And we went, this is crazy. In the fall, we went through five quarterbacks because they kept getting hurt. We went through two or three tight ends. We went through a couple linebackers. I never had the same starting O line any game in a row because they kept getting hurt. And after the year, we were like, oh my God, what are we doing wrong? And, do we have too much? Are we doing too much? And we sat back and we're like, well, wait a minute. We just played 6 games in the spring. These kids were trying because they overlapped. So the last 2 weeks of like the basketball season, you started football. So they
Hmm.
were going back and forth to both at the same time. They would play like a basketball game and maybe come to practice or vice versa. And I started to say, their bodies cannot handle this. And that was the worst experiences of our lives. Like, I know as a player, you didn't see it, but as coaches, we were all burnt the hell out. It was
Yeah.
awful.
Yeah, 2021, that was when it was real rough for us that fall. We played, I think, 7 games, maybe I think we played 7 games that year or eight. And then the next year, my junior year in 21, we our first game, we were still experiencing it a little bit. Our first game got pushed from Friday to Monday, played
Oh,
on Monday, and then played again Friday night with pretty much a JV squad out there playing varsity, which was pretty wild.
oh yeah, all those decisions were dumb, but we're not going to get political. But it was all not in good health of you guys. Like, and I know I sound old, but like it was not in good health of the players.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
like that was the
So
that was the one time where I almost stopped coaching because it was so much doing all the sports at once. I was like, oh, we can't do this. I was like, I can't. It was too much.
you get burnt out.
We were all burnt out because I coached 3 sports. Our OC coaches 2 sports. The head coach coaches 2 sports. JV guy coaches like we all were doing something. And then on top of it, having to deal with the rules in the school. And then on top of it, and then the funny story was they said it was like January 18th or something. Like you could start basketball today or on this day if you fall within the requirements. I just got to a brand new school. I'm super excited to get back to start coaching.
Mhm.
That day I woke up with a pounding headache like a migraine. And I looked at my girlfriend, who's not my wife. I'm like, I'm not going to work today. I'm not going to school. Just gonna take the day off. I have a bad migraine because we're on Zoom. You guys were on Zoom probably. I'm looking at the computer screen all day. And she goes, well, I have a headache too. Do you think we have COVID? I was like, nah, whatever. She goes, let's go get tested just in case. Like, okay, drove to a testing site. We were so confident we didn't have COVID. We went and got coffee through like Dunkin' Donuts and came home. Hour later, phone goes off. You tested positive. So I like that day, if I would have went to practice, I would have exposed everybody the first day. And then I thought I was going to get fired because I was like the first day at a new school for basketball. I had to be gone for 10 days. I'm like, I called the guy. I'm like, please don't fire me. I got COVID, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, you're not fired. He's like, just thank God you didn't come to practice.
Then you might have been fired.
Then I might have been fired. And then he was like, well, let me know if it was like a false positive. Because back then, if you tested positive on the rapid, if you test positive on the rapid, they would not send the real one in for resources. But if you test negative on the rapid, they would send the real one in just in case, which made no sense to me. But I was like, okay. And so he was like, just give it a day or two. If you still feel like you still feel fine, go get retested. Maybe you can come back. Oh no, I had it. So I called him like the next day. I was like, no, I got it. Like this, I was on my deathbed almost. I was like, oh my God. And then taste and smell went away for a month and a half. Like, and funny story, I took a bite of an onion. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm eating. I couldn't taste it. Put chocolate on it, put jalapenos on it. I took a bite. And I was like, I don't know. There's nothing. And then where our high school is where a big donut. It's near down the street from a donut factory,
Mhm.
and you could smell them being made on like Thursday nights. So at football practice, everybody's like, "You smell that?" And I'm like, "You guys are just making fun of me because I can't smell anything."
Yeah, my and in 2020, our head coach got it, and he was out in his car in the parking lot, uh, like on the headset, like talking to him during the game
Oh, he
because
would
he
have got in trouble
couldn't
for that.
do it.
Oh yeah, for basketball, that's when the live stream of YouTube came along. So I was watching the basketball games, and then I would be texting the head sophomore coach because I was the sophomore B coach because the school had 4,000 kids, so they could have all these levels. I was texting him like, "Hey, do this, do this, do this," like as an assistant, like texting him from home because everything was on YouTube.
Yeah, so we always make the joke that he was out there coaching us in the parking lot because he couldn't be around anybody. We had like we had we had our quarterback coach and our running back coach running practices, and they're two completely different people. Like
Yeah.
one's super high, like go, 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 no, or like super emotional, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
then the other dude's just low all the time. So they're
Yeah. Yeah.
one's all riled up and the other one's like, we're good, we're
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, off the COVID thing. Oh, but besides that, I got it 3 times, but whatever. Because I had it the first time, it lasted the full 10. I had COVID on the Super Bowl, so like, if that tells you anything, we got wings, and I'm like, I don't know what we're eating. Then I got it again. It lasted like 3 days, and then the third time, it was gone within like an hour.
Mhm.
Like, I walked out to the car. I was like, wait a minute, something ain't right. I couldn't smell or taste anything again. Came back in, went got tested. It was positive. I came home, ate lunch. I was like, oh, I could taste stuff again. I could smell things again. And so I called somebody. I'm like, I think it's gone. They're like, nope, it's on the piece of paper. You're positive. You can't blah blah blah. I'm like, this is stupid. Like, I feel fine, and everything's coming back. But anyway, so you're young. You go to coaching. We talked about the awkwardness. Were you prepared for what coaching takes? Because like for me, it's easy now because I'm out of school with turf. We don't paint the field. We don't do this. We don't do this. But I've been at schools. We had to paint the field. We had to do this. We had to do laundry. We had to you have to help with budgeting. You got to help with this. Was there anything that you weren't prepared for, or then it was an eye opening, like, oh, these are what my coaches had to do?
uh, I'd say I- I'd say like seeing them prepare sometimes is pretty wild. Seeing just like coaching all the like coaching and managing a whole group of kids
Hmm.
is probably the thing I probably wasn't ready for.
Oh yeah.
So like rotating kids in practice, getting them reps,
Yep.
watching everybody, just doing all that's kind of it. That was what was difficult. And it was difficult last summer. So during the spring, I was like, I'm gonna coach some youth flag football.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got some a group of like 14 under kids, and that that I think that prepared me a lot more for this year because it was like I'm micromanaging this group of like 10 middle school kids, coaching every kid on the field, like
Hmm.
installing stuff, doing all that, like something I'm not doing now, but you know what I mean? Like that helped me prepare and like teach kids a
Right.
whole lot better and manage the parents, manage
Oh,
like setting up practice, setting up stuff like that. There was a lot of texting our head coach and talking to him at Lyft, just asking for his advice
yeah.
on a lot of stuff and how to deal with certain kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that discipline was the hardest part.
Oh yeah. 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 And I have a different path than you. When I started coaching, it was varsity right away.
Hmm.
Like you're doing varsity, and I've never looked back at football. I've only been varsity. I've never done anything else. And and you want to talk about difficult? That's very difficult. But like you said, you when you start coaching, you now have to kind of look at everybody. Even though you're just a position coach, you have to kind of know what everything's going on. So, like when I played, I was an offensive lineman, D line. Well, then when I helped coach, well, why are we blocking it this way? Because we were a power I triple option under center. I'm not doing that thumb on purpose. I have no idea why it does that, but I had to now learn like why not to block this guy because he's the read guy. Why are we going this way? Why is it called this? And you have to learn that. Then you have to be like you're just constantly thinking and you're
Hmm.
constantly trying to be one step ahead. And then you're looking at technique now. You're looking at this. You're like you said, micromanaging, and that takes a toll on you mentally. Like every day you go home, you're kind of mentally
Oh yeah.
drained.
Oh yeah. The flag football stuff, it got me pretty burnt out because I'd be going from lift at the high school for the high school team to flag football right after and then go to school the next day. So it got to be a lot, but it was a whole lot of fun. Did a lot of different stuff. Cause it's like all the kids on the team were kids that are going to go to our high school eventually. So it's
Mhm.
like gonna keep similar terminology for everything. We're gonna
Right.
run a lot of the same plays, but I was like, I'm gonna sprinkle my little bit of what I want to do in here, and we're gonna run mesh. We're gonna run Y cross.
Mhm.
Gonna run like a bunch of four verts variations. We still run four verts, but we did some different variations of it. We got in some wide splits and threw a little bit of you call it deep choice, but they had no choice whatsoever what they're running. I told them what they're running,
Right.
but
Right.
we got a little more air raidy deep choice, I guess, than what we normally are.
Oh, that's my type of language. If I'm an OC again, it's I'm not going to throw it all like that, but we're running nothing but air raid concepts. I
Oh yeah.
love the stuff. Love it. Because back in my day, you didn't have YouTube. Back
Hmm.
back in my day, we didn't even have Huddle. Like that was not a thing. We had VHS tapes, DVDs. Like I'm sounding real old right now, but you had to like drive to coaches and talk to them and learn. You've got it pretty good right now where you can go on YouTube or Twitter and be like,
Oh yeah.
this.
Yeah. I just go on Pace and Space on Twitter and
Oh yeah,
watch whole
great,
Mike Leach.
great
Yeah. Get
stuff.
on there, get some Dan Casey, just watch a whole bunch of Mike Leach and stuff like that.
Oh, that's
Got on
great, great stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Got on some Zoom and talked to a guy that coached with Mike Leach to learn how they run mesh. That was probably one of the coolest things.
Who'd you talk to?
Uh Coach Shaker, he was with him at Mississippi State
Hmm.
and he was at Concord. I believe that's how some of the people I coach with know him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've got like Coach Mealy was his running backs coach and great dude. He's at North Carolina right now. Great dude. He'll talk to people. I've had a lot of people on here, so I'm trying to remember. I started this podcast in February of 2020 and COVID hit, so obviously there was no sports to talk about. And then Coach Sheffer, who coaches in Virginia, he's a high school coach. He reached out to me. He goes, "I'm bored. How did you start your podcast?" And I told him, hopped on his, and then Coach Banstra has one, and that's how that started. So I started mine like right before he started to get coaches on and talk, and then it became a competition of like how many coaches can we get on each? And during COVID, we had nothing but time, so I think I did like 6 or 7 in one day. Like I just grinded it out, and it's churned into talking to these big time coaches like all over the country. But it's amazing how a lot of them do air raid concepts too when I talk to
Oh
these
yeah.
people.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, um, and then I might be able to get Hal Mummy on. I'm just kind of working it out. Get the Godfather.
That would be awesome. That's what I did. I did a project for my English class. I wrote a whole like 10-page, 12-page paper on their aid, talking
Awesome. Awesome.
talking about the quarterbacks, the history, everything.
That's
Just the
awesome.
benefits of it. Yeah, it was sick.
That's awesome. I wish I would have thought of that in college.
Yeah, I got put on to swing your sword over the summer, and it was
Oh yeah.
like, oh, it changed me. It
Yeah.
changed. I'll
Yeah.
get there on the treadmill and listen to some Dan Casey talk about football and Mike Leach talk about the mascots and talk about some dinosaurs. So
Oh yeah. I felt really I felt really bad because he was very open to people coming for like spring ball and the little community you probably see on Twitter. Drew Piscopo is awesome.
yeah,
I'm on here. We message sometimes. He and Coach Taylor, Patrick Taylor, and a couple others. They're like, oh yeah, he's very open. Like if people go to Mississippi State, you need to try to go. And I looked it up, and I'm like, okay, I might try to go. I might try to go. And then I didn't. And then that's when he passed away. And I'm like, I missed the opportunity. I could have went down there. Like they were telling me, like, go. We might go. If you go, let's all go. And just did not. I should have. They flew out to Washington State. I'm like, I'm not flying out to Washington State. I'm sorry. I'll drive down to Mississippi or do whatever, but I'm not going flying to Washington State, spending $2,000. That's not
oh yeah,
happening.
to watch them practice. But that I see Drew's posts on Twitter of Mike Leach all the time, and it's that'd be the coolest thing ever to go and watch one of the practices.
Oh yeah, and when I had Coach Patrick Taylor on and during COVID times, and it was no like 2021 maybe I don't remember. They went out and watched him at Washington State, and I said, "So what did you learn?" And he said, "Steve, I went and watched a practice. We went to the hotel. I called my assistant coaches, and I said, tear up anything that we have, like for practice plans. And they said, what? And he goes, because we're too complicated. Like I thought we were simple. We're not simple enough because Coach Taylor went to was would go to Kentucky games when they were there,
Mm.
and so he was like, "We are too complicated. We have to simplify it down." And so the more I talk to these people that had connections with Mike Leach or Hal Mummy, that's like the biggest takeaway is that we are all too complicated.
Hmm.
Defensive practices or offensive practices, like you have to scale it back and just rep it over and over and over and over again.
Oh yeah.
And
I,
even though our team right now is not like air raid, but our head coach, I keep trying to tell him that like we got to make things simple. And so we've kind of taken that air raid-ish approach of like pound this in. And that's what I could tell you as a young coach. Like if you make it simple and just pound it in and run it over and over and over again, the kids
mhm.
will be confident and you'll be able to execute.
Oh yeah. That's what coach Tanner, he does an amazing job of keeping everything simple for everybody. That's our quarterback coach is a huge air raid guy, and he's all the time like, it's too much. He'll be the first guy to say if something's too much.
Oh, perfect. Our head coach does the same thing. Um, but like I'm trying to think. We just run like mesh and shallow and stuff like that, but we have other things. I'm trying to get our OC to run the quick game stuff, but it's not gonna happen.
Yeah.
He likes his other stuff.
Yeah, we just started doing outlaw recently, and
Oh, yeah, yeah.
it's served us. It's done pretty well so far.
Yeah, I like that one. Uh because I don't know about you, when I started to really get into it, I tried to look it up and they're like, oh yeah, here's the playbook online. And then I started to think about it. I'm like, well, Mike Leach doesn't have a playbook, so why is there a playbook?
Exactly.
And it was just somebody that made it and tried to make, and then the best part is you get like two free things and then you have to buy it. I'm like, okay, now this is really sketchy. Like I'm not buying this because they don't have playbooks.
Yeah, that's what we'll have kids at practice come up to our JV head coach and, can I see the playbook? He's like, we don't have a playbook. You've been here. You've been here. You know we don't have a playbook. And flag football, we had a kid who hadn't showed up, and he walked up to the guy that helped me out, and he's like, Coach, since I haven't been here, do you have a playbook you can show me that you can give me so I can learn the plays? He's like, we don't got one. We're not giving you one.
Another guy you need to look at is Stan Bedwell. Um,
Yeah, I follow him on Twitter too.
yeah, I had him on here and he's my connection to Hal.
That's
Like
awesome.
they're buddy buddy.
Oh yeah.
So that's my little connection. Stan's awesome. You know, he'll answer people. He's doing that daily mesh every day, and I love it because I love looking at it. Um, so you play defense. Are you more of an offensive guy? You still like defense?
So when I first thought about coaching, I thought I wanted to be a defensive guy, and I'd watch some uh TCU 4-2-5 palms cut or cover four match, and I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. And then I matured a little bit, and I was like, that's dumb. There's no point, or no, that's, you know what I mean. Like it's unnecessary. Some of this is unnecessary for the teams that we would play. Like we
Right.
play a ton of power run teams. You're not gonna be doing like match quarters
No.
against against a single wing. So like, what's the point of making that your base? That was something I got into for a while. I thought I want to be a big defensive guy, and I started talking to our offensive coordinator, or not, sorry, not offensive coordinator, our quarterback coach, pass game coordinator,
Hmm.
about it a lot. And I was like, and he'd send me all kinds of clips, and he'd tell me a whole bunch of stuff, and I was like, offense is what I want to do. So here recently, it's been on a big offense kick, trying to learn a lot.
Good
Been
choice
I know, I love it.
because you won't have as many headaches and worrying about things. Because I'll tell you right now, when I started coaching, I was O line, D line. Those are my two things.
Hmm.
Head coach got fired. I went to Eastern Illinois. The high school was right down the street. I went to the brand new head coach that got hired and said, hey, I want to coach. So we talked. He goes, I'll let you know. 2 days later, I was coaching track. He sees me. He goes, hey, let's talk. He goes, hey, I'll bring you on, but you're going to do linebackers. You're going to do running backs. You're going to be my assistant defensive guy at varsity, and you're going to just be around to help out the JV defense. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I'm an offensive guy. Like, I don't want anything to do with defense. And he goes, to be a better coach, you're going to have to do both. Like, you're going to have to learn how to be a defensive guy. And I said, okay, well, instead of linebackers, can I do D line? Because I understand. He goes, nope, you got to learn. You got to do linebackers. I think I was like 23 or 22 at the time, probably 22. I don't remember. And I said, I was like, oh, this is stupid. And so I'm doing running backs, linebackers. I'm helping the varsity defense coordinator in games, and I'm like, what blah, blah, I don't like this. Then it finally clicked. Started to realize defense a little bit more. And I'll tell you right now, I that me and that head coach are still friends, and I'm like, I hated you so much. I didn't really talk to him that year. And then all of a sudden, it just clicked, and I was like, okay, I get it, get what you're trying to do. And then about a year later, I become the varsity OC, and I'm like, all right, I'm back home. I'm never, never going back. The closest thing to defense I got was just coaching D line again.
Yep.
I'm like, that's it. Don't put me in charge of defense. 'Cause I want no part of it.
Yeah, I played safety, so I have that. I love coaching the safeties, but coaching wide receivers is fun. I love throwing the ball. It's the best thing ever. They mess with me all the time. They're like, if it was up to you, it'd just be 7-on-7 with shoulder pads, and I was like, that's the way it should be sometimes. Just but
See,
no,
I thought that, but if I like I said, if I'm ever an OC again, I'm still running the football, but we're running
oh
air
yeah,
raid concepts off of it.
oh yeah. I'm maturing them that way. I'm starting to learn the run stuff. It's just that I think the reason why I like throw or want to throw the ball as much as I do is I just don't understand the
Mm.
run game part of it because I played wide receiver and I played DB, so it's foreign. But yeah,
It's not hard. I mean, it's not too hard to
mhm,
understand it, but that's why like ROC, it depends on the day. Sometimes he comes in and he wants to run the ball. Sometimes he comes in and he wants to throw it.
mhm,
I'm the guy that has to like reel it back in and be like, no, we probably need to run the ball here. But what's good is like he is the pass guy in OC and I'm the run game guy. So I can kind of you split the jobs. So like
mhm,
for you as a young coach, let's say you become a varsity OC one day, find a guy that can maybe take care of the run stuff, but make sure you trust him because I'm the guy that will tell him like if it's 3rd and 2 and I'll tell him what's open in the pass game because I know it, but I'm also like, hey, inside zone was working. Maybe we get in this little heavy package and run some inside zone. And then like he's coming down trying to learn how I block it and like how this looks and making sure we're on the same page. But then like, as a defensive guy, at the beginning you were a defensive guy. The games you guys play and how to block it and it's not too hard.
yeah,
Don't learn the technique, just know where they have to go, is my opinion, because the technique can be too much. Like already day
yeah.
3 days of inside zone, I've taught them how to load step, scooch, gallop, how to get here. And I guarantee the wide receivers coaches and OCs like, why do you have all these movements for one run play? And then I have to explain it. Well, if he's really far away, we got to do this. If he's close, we got to do this. And they're just like, whatever, do your thing. And then like, well, and then wide zone, why do you do this? And I'm like, well, because now we got to run. We got to get wide. Uh, oh, on our toss play, why are we doing this? Well, because I got to do this. Power. Why is he going here instead of here? Well, because the defense shifted on me, so now I got to do this, and you know that's why O line. If you want to be a really good coach, coach O line because I got to watch all five guys do something.
Mhm. Yeah, our head coach, he calls the offense. He's the O-line coach now, and he's amazing at it. He'd coach any position on the field amazingly if he wanted to, but he he keeps it super simple with the linemen. Like we don't do a whole bunch of run concepts, but we're really good at what we do,
Right.
and he's great at it. Our quarterback coach, he does real well with the quarterbacks, and we've got those two positions pretty well on point, and everybody else is awesome, and everybody, all the other positions are coached up pretty well, so it goes it's pretty good. It's
I tried.
awesome.
I tried to switch to wide receivers this year, and the head coach won't let me because I've coached every position besides like corners
Hmm.
by day. Now, when I coached the safeties, they were out because we ran a 4-2-5. I coached the outside safeties. You know how that is, and I've coached linebackers and defensive linemen, but I've never coached corners. And I've coached every offensive position, but like I graduated four offensive linemen. I only got one coming back. So I said, "Hey, can I go to receivers?" And he goes, "Are you trying not to work?" And I'm like, "That's exactly what I'm doing. I don't want to deal with these young bucks this year." 'Cause I think I'm only going to have one senior lineman actually. So in 2 years, I'll be okay. But this year, I'm like,
Yeah.
can I just do receivers? Because that's our oldest group. We're going to have juniors and seniors. And he goes, nope, nope, you got to do offensive linemen. I'm like,
You'll be sitting with it pretty well here in a couple years, though.
oh, it took us a while. Like I said, when I got there in 2020, our head coach got the job. He already was at the school coaching as an assistant. He got the job in January of 2020. I applied for the head job. I was at a different school. I applied for the head job at that school also. Obviously didn't get it, but the AD liked me, so he told the head coach, you should probably talk to him. So he talked to me. Then we saw each other at a clinic that happens in Chicago right here. Talked to him again. COVID hits. Then he talks to me again in like June and he goes, yeah, come on. I need an O-line guy. You're going to be varsity, blah, 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 blah. My stipend would increase by like $3,500 from my previous school. And I was like, yeah, let's do this. And COVID's not going to last that long. But it was a school that had not made playoffs since 2014. And
Hmm.
the COVID year, we went 1-5. We're like, okay. That next year, we had all those injuries. We went 0-9. Then the next year, we go 2-7. Then this year we go 6-3 in the regular season, make the playoffs, win our first round playoff game, lose the second round by like 7 points. We turned the ball over seven fucking times. And so hopefully it's there. But like what you're saying, in a couple years I'll be sitting pretty. It took that long to be sitting pretty because I had four seniors and they were playing since they were sophomores. And so
Hmm.
they took a beating. And now I gotta do it all over again. And and I'm too old for that, man. I'm too old.
That's what when I played my junior year, we're a JV squad out there playing varsity games. Somehow managed to rally and go 6-4. Or sorry, we it wasn't 6-4. It was 5-4 because one of our games got canceled, and then made the playoffs. Horrible loss. Drove all the way. We're like uh border of Ohio, middle West Virginia,
Okay.
like bordering Ohio. So we drove like dang near Washington, D.C. to play.
Oh,
It's like I want to say 5 hour drive. It was rough. Go there and just get our butts handed to us. Come back the next year, state title team, like playing for it.
right.
Just because we had all those dudes that were young, getting a whole bunch of reps playing varsity games.
Yeah, we'll be like that in the our quarterback was a sophomore. One of our running backs was a sophomore. Our best player, who was a slot guy and could play anywhere, is a sophomore. Our two outside receivers were juniors. Our safeties were sophomore. And it's like all of that's taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
The O line is going to look different. And then we lost our two inside linebackers. And so we're like, the two most important things on the field are going to be entirely different. But then
Yeah.
what pisses me off even more is that we had kids not come back last year because like I don't want to play football. We went 2-7. We're not going to play football. Well, then we go 6-3,
And
made
they
the
come.
playoffs for the first time since 2014. This year, some of those kids came back, and
Mm-hmm.
like I'm glad to have you back, but I know why you're coming back because
Mm-hmm.
oh they won. The schedule look is exactly the same as it was last year, just flip flop home and away. Oh, we'll come back and play, and I'm like you bastards. And I know I probably shouldn't talk about kids like that, but I'm just like, man, it just makes me so mad. But like we walk in and we have like 70 kids the first day, which is awesome for a summer camp. And we're just like, oh, is this why what happens when we win games?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and because we're getting a new home turf field. That's probably why too. And then they want new jersey. That's the next thing you learn as a coach. Kids want new jerseys all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, hey, we try not to get new jerseys for 4 or 5 years. And they go, well. And we're like, do you know how much jerseys cost to get
Yep.
tops and bottoms and all that stuff? And they're like, no, I mean, it can't be that expensive, right? They're like $80 a piece. We're like, no, to get sets is probably $10,000.
Oh yeah.
We'll fundraise for it. So can you buy them and we'll fundraise for them? We're like, you fundraise and show us the money and then we'll think about it. Because now they want an alternate jersey too. So we're like, so wait a minute, you guys want a new home jersey, new away jersey, and an alternate? You're looking at $15,000. That's the one thing you'll learn as a coach is how much shit costs. And then
Oh
you have a
yeah.
Christmas list of stuff, and you're like, well, this sled is $8,000. These footballs are expensive.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
It's crazy. You wouldn't think all that all that costs as much as you do looking from the outside in, but yeah, like footballs. I went to go buy a football to snap with when I was going to college, and like 70, $80 for a football. It's wild. It's wild. Imagine buying like enough to play a season with.
Our head coach is smart. Like, um, he gets enough, but he has new ones and he keeps them.
Hmm.
So then maybe the next year he doesn't have to, or if he does, it just kind of stores them. So then after a while, he could be like, okay, I don't have to buy them anymore. Um, but practice jerseys, that's another thing you don't think about. How much money does that cost? Oh, the pads, how much do those cost?
Oh yeah.
Another thing I never thought about as a young coach. That's why I wrote a book about you don't. It's like you don't know shit. Is how much the helmets are to cost to recondition them and stuff like that. Like that stuff is thousands of dollars. And then football programs get a budget. Well,
Hmm.
another thing we don't think about, we're ordering t-shirts and shorts for the kids for the summer. Just to do that is $3,000 to get what we.
Yeah.
So like if your budget's $6,000, you've spent half of it on just shorts and t-shirts.
Hmm.
Another thing
Yeah.
we don't think about is food for the kids. Like we have kids that won't eat that they don't have the resources to eat breakfast. So we gotta buy peanut butter and jellies. We gotta buy this. And then another thing, coaches don't get paid in the summer really. So that's another thing. So why'd you
Yeah.
decide to coach then if all this is negative? I'm warning you now. It's rough.
Yeah, I'm doing it right now just for the fun of it. So I love it.
Oh,
I
that's good.
all the it's yeah, I thought like I'm going to school to be a teacher. It's all it's none of it's about the money. It's all just
Oh, you're not gonna make money doing it, man.
oh no, just enjoy life.
You'll make money to live.
Yep.
So you still want to be a teacher then?
Yes, sir.
What do you want to
Yep.
teach?
So I originally went to school to teach PE, like about
Yep.
every other football coach does.
Yep.
And now where I'm at now, they only have elementary education. So I'm gonna get a degree in that, and I'm gonna go from there. Try
That's
to try to get some take some practice tests to be able to teach other grades and different subjects, like teach history. I think that'd be
mm-hmm.
something I'd like to do and all that. So
So in West Virginia, you don't have to be a teacher to coach high school football, right?
no, you just have to take different classes. So like I
Okay.
had to take a class through the West Virginia Secondary Sports Athletic Commission or whatever. I think that's what it stands for. And I had to go sit through this like 3 day long class and take tests, and you have to get background checked and
Yep.
like fingerprint background checked, and you have to get all these different certifications. It was like a 2 month process just to
Oh wow.
get certified this year to be able to coach full time. Because like
Oh,
last year, like I'm still like it was a I was doing a different kind of volunteer thing where it was just background check. You can be
yeah.
around like it was I don't know how to describe it. Like you could only do certain things.
Yeah, you're only allowed like for us, it's like it's summer. Like you're allowed to be there in the summer. Then when the season
Yep.
starts, it's got to be different and everything else. Yeah, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and now it's like I had to take these tests and all this stuff to be able to coach full time and be approved by the board and all that stuff. Probably took 2 months for it to all go through with all the stuff you got to find. You gotta, it's kind of wild all the stuff that they need from you, like my high school transcript and stuff like that. It's like I'm coaching at a school I graduated from a year ago. You need my high school transcript to approve me through
That's
all this
weird.
stuff that doesn't even make sense. It's like I went to school here, like I walk in the door and to go to practice, and everybody's like, "What?" Like they know who you are. Like it's wild.
No, trust me, when you get in the school system, you'll find out real quick how political and legal like school districts are scared to get sued. So like
Hmm.
that type of stuff. That's wild though. They need your transcript because like
Yeah.
and each state's different. So like Illinois is very similar, but like they've changed it a little bit.
Mhm.
when I went to coach and I was only 18, 19 like you had, I'm not doing the thumb up thing, I swear, I don't know who's doing it. There's a thing called ASOP, and you get certified through the state. It's a one-time state thing. It's like $100, but it's good for life. So like
Hmm.
if you don't coach for 15 years, you can still coach because it's in your name. And that was it. Like that's all you had to do. Just pass the test. And you can
Hmm.
take it as many times as you want. And then each school district does a background check to make sure you're allowed to be around kids and all that
Yeah.
stuff. Cool. And in Illinois, you could be a paid coach outside the building. That doesn't matter. But then now they've changed it to where kind of like what you were describing. Like we have a kid I used to coach. He went and played like 2 or 3 years at Division 3. He's like, I'm done. So he wants to coach. He's got to do way more stuff. He was describing it to me. I'm like, wait, what? He goes, yeah, I got to do the test. Then I got to take this class. And then I got to do this. I'm like, wait, what? Like for me to get coach certified took me like an hour. He goes,
Hmm.
oh no, I got to do all this other stuff. I'm good for summer. So I think all states are changing it. And I'm like, you're just making it harder for us to find coaches.
Hmm.
That's all you're
That's
doing.
how, that's how the class that I took, it's good forever, but every year you got to take these different tests and classes online and fill out these different paper or different like forms through like the counties and stuff, but or through my county. And but whenever I become a teacher at all, you don't have to do any of it.
Yeah, no,
So
no. The only thing we have to do is, I think it's every year or 2 years, take a concussion test. I think it's every year.
Mhm.
And then every 2 years, got to take like the PED test, like online, like to learn. And then, oh, and then the worst thing ever, I don't know if West Virginia does it. You might find out later on in life. We have all these trainings that we have to do, even if you're a coach, and there's like 15 of them. And some can take 60 minutes, some take 25 minutes, and the guy get done within a certain time frame.
Mhm.
And you just got to pass the quizzes at the end. And it has nothing to, and the when you're a coach doing it, the stuff you're learning has sometimes nothing to do with coaching. It's about the school building. And you're like, I'm not even working in the building. And that's not even a district thing, that's a state thing.
Mhm.
And then what's another test we have to do? Concussion, steroid test. There's some other test we got to do every freaking year. And it's not a district thing when the AD gets an email about who hasn't done it. He's like, guys, I'm so sorry to tell you, but you got to get this test done or you're not allowed to coach. And I'm like, this concussion test doesn't change every year. Oh, to get you have to be CPR certified. You got to do that every 2 years.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah.
because of COVID, I can do online now. I don't have to go.
Hmm. Yeah, I got CPR certified at the last school I was at because I was in PE stuff. But then they never sent me my card, so I had to redo it all over again online. And it was the exact same stuff I took like a 6 week class on, and
Mm-hmm.
I have to redo the online part just because I couldn't find I never got my certification.
Well, because of COVID, because mine was expired right as COVID happened,
Hmm.
and I didn't think about it. Then when I started coaching here, they emailed me and said, "Hey, make sure you got this done." So I went on and looked, and it was expired. Trying to find a place to do CPR during COVID was impossible because they didn't want people there. So I saw something for like, oh, we're offering now to do it online because of COVID. And it was so weird because on the computer screen, you had a picture of the body. It
Hmm.
said, click on here like you're doing a compression. So when you do it, I had to click like it was really doing it. And I'm like, this is weird. But now that I'm enrolled in that online, when mine goes up, I just go
Hmm.
on there. You can read all the information or go straight to the test. And I go straight to the test,
Yep.
recertified. And I'm like, hey, if it's if it works, it works. But
Hmm.
because of COVID, that's the weirdest part was doing that CPR thing. But the school wouldn't pay for it. I had to pay for it. And it was like 100 and some bucks. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Are you
You
seeing
got
this?
fireworks now. Yeah.
That's all. Oh, Zoom. See, I'm not doing that on purpose. That's just Zoom. If I do certain motions, it does something.
Mhm.
So don't think I'm bored and I'm just hitting buttons. So what's the end goal? Just high school coaching, or is college coaching going to be something one day?
It would be nice to. That'd be that coaching college would be something I'd really like to do. But I'm just trying to get learn as much as I can from the people that I'm with right now to get to that point. I've thought about like I really want to coach college one day. It would
Yep.
be nice. I want to call plays at a place like that. I want to run my I want to be a head coach one day because I want to do my own thing. I want to run everything how I would like to. It'd be
Yep.
pretty similar to what we do now because the people that I coach under, they're amazing and they do everything great. But yeah, I'm just trying to like right now, I'm just trying to soak up as much as I can because I think counting our head coach and like our quarterback coach and a lot of our other coaches, like we have, I think, one of the best coaching staffs in the area and like the state. If I had to say, like I told a lot of people that when I was snapping, I was like, best coaches I've ever seen. They're awesome. I'm just trying to learn as much as I can under them to be
Hmm.
ready for moving up, whether it's like whether it's becoming a varsity coach, then maybe calling plays, then maybe being a head coach or going to college. Just trying to get to where I can get opportunities like that.
Yeah, just you're gonna be your path is very similar to mine, where I said all those things, and I've never become a head coach. I'm 30, going to be 34. It's never happened. Um, Very tough to become a head coach,
Mhm.
kind of. Like I'm very selective. I'm not gonna go to a place that like it's gonna
Yeah.
take me 10 years to rebuild. I don't mind rebuild. I've been a part of rebuilding in my 15 years, but it's the areas too. Like I have to look at all that. I have to look at a lot of things. I was an OC for like 3 years. It's way. I thought I'd be careful. You're gonna think you know it all, and you're gonna know nothing.
Oh,
Uh,
I know.
and I was like, this will get me to college one day. Like that's what I thought. And now I'm 34, or almost 34, and I'm like, it's never gonna happen. I've had opportunities. I'm
Mm.
friends with a couple guys, and they'll have GA spots, and then they'll text me, "Hey, you want to be a GA?" And I'm like, if I was 21, maybe I
Hmm.
would have said yes. But in my life now, to pay me $800 a month to go back to school, which I don't want to do, and live
Can't
in
do
a
it.
dorm. Mm-mm.
Mm.
So just be careful with that. If you're gonna go to college, do it soon.
Yeah. That's what I've been told by a lot of people is like do it when you're young. And like what I've heard, like do it when you're young because you can go being it's pretty hard to go from being a poor college student to having a job and then going back to being a poor college
Oh
student.
yeah.
But just
Oh,
if you just transition right into it, you don't really know any better. So yeah.
yeah, no, you got a good head on your shoulders. If you don't got responsibilities, don't do it. But like right now, I'm married, and I'm like, oh my God, if I told my wife now, hey, I'm going to go to Kansas, because I'm friends with Nick Davis. He's the head coach at Iowa University. He has the spread defense. I'm sure maybe
Mhm.
you've seen it. I'm not sure. I'm friends with him. He'll text me every so often. Yeah, I got a GA spot. You want to come? I'm like, man, if I told my wife, hey, we got to move to Kansas because I'm going to be a GA at Ottawa University, she'd be like, cool. Well, how much you going to make? Well, 800 bucks. Oh, every week? That's awesome. No, every month. We got to live in a dorm. Well, Mike Leach, you know that story where he
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'm getting paid like $3,000. And my wife was like, that's awesome. Like every month, that's awesome. No, just $3,000. And I took his advice on student loans. Every time they call me, I took that from
Well,
I read that book every summer. It's there on my
mhm.
bookshelf. I had my camera zoomed in too much because I was messing with it. I got an entire bookshelf of shit. And I'm like, I read it every summer. And I took it, student loan people call me and I'm like, I'll pay you $200. They start arguing with me. I'm like, well, you're getting nothing. And I hang up. And I'm like, oh,
If you just keep taking classes, you don't have to pay for them.
oh, they changed that on me. You got to be like a full-time student. So I'm like,
Ah,
because I thought that too. I was like, oh, if I'm part-time taking like two classes, I'll take two classes
oh yeah.
because that's the best thing about working in a school district. They'll pay for it
Hmm.
because you're trying to earn more money. So I'm like, oh, if the school pays for it, I'll just keep going.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Then you
nah.
know paying back.
Well, I keep telling them I'm going to die with it. So I don't know what you guys want me to do. Don't get sucked into that. Live at home and go to school, man.
That's
Don't.
that's what I'm doing. I was like, I'll go to community college and get the same degree and
Smart,
not pay anything for it and get to coach football. So
smart. All right. If I could go back in time, I would tell myself that. I walked on. I wanted to play big time ball. I thought I was all that,
Mm.
and nope. And I'm like, man, if I could turn back time, I would go to community college, live at home. Our community college was only like $2,000 a year back home, so I'm like, oh, I should have done that. But I wanted the college experience,
Yeah.
and now I regret that.
Community college is just like 2 or 4 more years of high school, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, the only thing I don't regret is I met my wife in regular college, so
Yeah.
that's a plus. But you know, that's smart. And I tell, make sure you tell your players that too. Like, hey, if you're not gonna go play college ball, it's totally fine to not go to college and go to work, which people don't want to hear that. And I'm like, no, it's totally fine. Go work. If you want to do the army, do the army. If you want to do community college and figure out your life, go do that.
Hmm.
Because we put too much pressure on these kids to go to 4 years. Now, if that's what their parents want, then I don't mess with that. I'm like, hey, yep, that's what they want. Go for it. But that's one thing I've learned. Like when I was young, oh, you gotta go to 4 year, you gotta go to 4 year. Now I tell kids, it's okay. It's totally fine to not go to college.
That's what I took some trade classes in high school because I thought I was going to be an electrician when I was in high school. And uh, some of the kids on our team, we do these tours for the younger or underclassmen to show them the classes. And some of the kids on the team are in them. They're like, "You working as an electrician?" I'm like, "Buddy, just because I took a class for 2 years in high school doesn't mean I'm spending the rest of my life doing that." Like you don't have a job yet? I'm like, no. Just because
No.
this class doesn't mean doesn't mean I'm working full time right now.
Yeah, the program I work in, and I know I'm boring you with no football talk, but this is a Joe Rogan style sports podcast, so
Yeah.
it's whatever. My program is for kids. It's like some have social emotional issues, so they need a smaller class. Some, I'm not doing the thumbs up, I swear. Um, some got rough lives, and so they just don't like school. They don't do well. Some work third shift. Some walk into a gen ed classroom and they look at the teacher and say, "Fuck you," and they're like, "Oh, you gotta go with Steve." And so I work with those type of kids.
Mm,
No IEPs, no special ed. It's just generally like they don't like school.
yeah.
But the best part, the reason why I realized kids don't have to go to school is like I had a kid worked so hard. His uncle owned a landscaping company. He did landscaping, he snow plowed, he did construction, and that's what he wants to do. And then that's when I realized how big trade school is, how much money they can make. And so I try to tell the football players the same thing. I'm like, hey, our high school has an auto program. Why don't you try that? Hey, why don't you go try this? Why don't you go try this? Because you might like it. Then you're going to make a lot of money. Like
Hmm.
I have a kid right now that was in that program. He graduated early, like early. We were shocked. I saw him working at a gas station and I'm like, hey, what are you going to do? You just going to work here? What are you going to do? He goes, no, I'm just doing this for the summer and then I'm going to go be an electrician. He goes, that's what I'm going to do. And I'm like, you're gonna make like 100 grand a year, man. You're gonna be living the life.
Hmm.
And he's like, I know. He goes, because I don't want to do school anymore.
That's I love how they have classes like that because yeah, like school ain't for everybody. There's a bunch of kids in my classes that school was definitely not for them, but they're making way more money than I will be not
Hmm.
going to college and getting a job right out of high school. So like, and if that, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm all for that type of stuff.
Hmm.
Because our school doesn't have like the electrician stuff, but they have autos program, they have woodworking, they have um, some other things. But then we have a relationship with the College of DePage, which is huge. They should go Division II football instead of junior college, but we have a program with them, so they get to go and like they'll go to school half the day, then they go there and
Yeah,
do something. Like we have kids that want to do nursing, they go do that, and we're like, this is awesome. This is a good way to get them involved.
yeah, that's how ours is. That's pretty similar to how it is here.
Um, well, Coach, I realize it's been an hour, but sorry about that. But I appreciate your time being
Sure.
on here.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. It was great.